This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Yeah, welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Coming to you on this Friday, November 1. That's right, it is November, folks. Had snowflakes in Bloomington yesterday for Halloween, so hope everyone had a happy Halloween last night. Got all kinds of good candy. I didn't have that opportunity, unfortunately, but hope that you have bowls of candy laying around for the next month and you can chew on that. But we got plenty to talk about today on the program. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, joins us as he does each and every Friday. We'll also talk with Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Lots to get to. Indiana football on tap this weekend as they play the first November night game in Memorial Stadium history tomorrow night as they take on last year's Big Ten West Division champion, the Northwestern Wildcats. Indiana looking to go 7-2 on the season as they continue to try to add to that record of theirs and increase the relevance of their bowl imprint, or where they're going to land. Hopefully they're going to be landing in Florida. I see this team winning minimum 2 more games, maybe more. Who knows if they can upset either Penn State or Michigan. The Michigan game's going to be at home, probably their best opportunity for a potential ninth win right there. Look forward to that. We'll get to that then. But right now, Indiana taking on Northwestern tomorrow night. I don't know who this quarterback's going to be, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Not right now as far as what Indiana's been able to produce on the field. This is a team that scored 30 points in 7 of their 8 games. A little bit different than last year, so they've got it rolling offensively. Defensively, we got to see them play a little bit better, but they've done a heck of a job so far. Looking forward to this night game, man. I think that they're going to get a lot of people out there. They're really trying. You saw Coach Allen at the Student Union yesterday giving out some tickets to get the students' involvement, which is great. Hopefully they'll stay past halftime. But, yeah, a good crowd. I think that there are going to be some people out there, man. Under the lights, it's going to be exciting. And talking to Coach Allen yesterday, he said, I asked him about the dynamic of playing at night, and he said it reminds him of back when he was a high school coach. And Friday nights, all the games were under the lights, which is cool. And there's a different dynamic to playing under the lights. There really is. It makes it just a different feel. And he talked about when he first started coaching in college that it felt weird playing on Saturday afternoons. He had to get used to that. But, yeah, a cool environment under the lights. You got a lot of stuff going on out there this weekend, so look forward to getting all of that. Indiana basketball back on the court next Tuesday. We'll talk with Todd about that as the Hoosiers get ready. You saw the women's team busting out in the top 25 this year. Congratulations to Terry Morin and the women's squad as they start the year ranked in the top 20. I think they're 24th. So big things expecting for that crew. Allie Patberg and Brianna Wise and all of them, Jalen Penn and Grace Berger. Man, they've got a great roster of talent, a good team. So they're expecting a very good year. It's going to be interesting to see what they can get done in the Big Ten battle wars as that rages on. But this is a program that Terry Moore's doing a great job recruiting and building. And we'll see how that goes. But last night, a little bit of college football in action. I don't know if you saw the Baylor-West Virginia game. It was a weird game, man. Baylor, number 12 in the country. They were leading 7-0 at the half, and then West Virginia decides to score 14 points in the third quarter. Baylor would have gone to win that game by a field goal. At one point, West Virginia had, 3 yards on 21 carries rushing. It was nuts. But there was a goofy play, I think, or two that really took the yardage down, but that doesn't really matter. When you look at the stat sheet, it was just an oddity to see 3 yards rushing on 21 carries. They still ended up only having, I think, 50 yards rushing, maybe. Where's the rush? No, 14. I'm sorry. 14 rushing yards for West Virginia last night in that game. But a lot of games. A lot of Big Ten teams are off this weekend. A lot of Big Ten teams have byes. I was looking at the schedule, and I'm trying to remember some of the teams that I saw. Iowa is off this weekend. Let's see. Michigan State is off. Minnesota is off. Ohio State is off. Penn State is off. Wisconsin is also off. So almost half the Big Ten not playing this weekend with their bye. Indiana has a bye next week as they prepare to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions after that. But big bye week this week, and then, of course, the big game in the Big Ten next week. Or when's Penn State and Minnesota play? That's got to be coming up soon. So looking forward to those two teams clashing. But a lot going on this weekend, heading out to the big lots of time to tailgate Saturday, man. Man, the gates open, I think, at 11 a.m., which is a little earlier than normal. I think it's usually just 5 hours before, but they're going to be opening up at 11 a.m., I believe. And so people can be out there all day, got the motorhomes going, look like a great football environment. Going to be fun times, man. Fun. Derek Elston, Indiana basketball member of that program, and he's a former player here, and been a part of our Tom Crean's staff and Archie Miller's staff. Announced yesterday that he's leaving to enter the private business sector, getting himself a real job. Don't blame him. That coach's life's a tough life. A lot of late nights, man. So if you can get a normal gig and just chill, can't blame him. But wish the best to Derek Elston as he prepares to go off into the private sector and leave the coaching world. It'll be interesting to see who they get to fill that position. Do they get another former Hoosier in there? Who do they bring in? I've noticed Archie kind of goes away from the Indiana thing on some of the things he does. But it'd be interesting to see who fills that list. But, man, we got a great show coming up, as always. We're going to hear from Tom Allen as well as the Toddfather, Todd Leary. He's up next. And then Tom Brew comes on later in the program after that here on Indiana Sports Beat. But make sure you stay tuned because we got all that and plenty more coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios at 72 degrees. We're back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moyer.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Cole.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this first day of November. Crazy. Now we welcome in the Toddfather, Todd Leary. Todd, how are you, man?
I'm great this morning. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, brother. I just can't believe we're in November already, man.
Well, walk outside. You'll believe it. It is freezing.
I said that to somebody yesterday. I'm like, it sure felt like it, let me tell you. So, yeah, we had snow in Bloomington yesterday, man. Snow on Halloween.
I know it. It was typical Indiana weather. You never know. 3 weeks ago it was 90, and now it's 27.
Yeah, wait till tomorrow. It'll change again.
I know it.
Lots going on. Of course, a lot of buzz for the Indiana football program, Todd. A huge win last week out on the road in Lincoln, Nebraska. They're now 6-2. They're bowl eligible. Bowl eligible in October for the first time since 1993. This team has got, man, they got momentum going, and Tom Allen has done a phenomenal job with this program.
Yeah, here's we sat back a little bit. We consider ourselves optimistic about things, but we also set back a little bit, stung over the years of how Indiana football's kind of put themselves in a decent position, and they had some games that they needed to go win, in order to kind of solidify the program. And I think we would all agree in recent years they've just not won those games. And we sat here, I talked to you just a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about these two big games, and it was a test. And, you feel the disappointment and you remember it more, I think, when you don't pass tests. But when you pass the test and you do awesome and you accomplish what you were trying to set out and do, and what some people were a little bit pessimistic as to whether you could accomplish it or not, once you actually do that, it's such a great honor and feeling, and those guys have to feel really good about themselves. Now it's kind of, you got to all grow up in one season, and now you've got to control some of that, loving yourself feeling, and turn around and get hungry again and go back out. And you got another opportunity this weekend for a good win at home in the night game, and just, there's some really good other opportunities that are there for this team this year, and they've got to, control a little bit of the good feeling of what they've got and go out and do their job. And so far, man, you have to give them a great, an A for the effort and what they've accomplished so far this season.
Yeah, and the fact that they're guaranteed a bowl right now. Now the situation is, where is that going to be? How good of a bowl can that be? And that's strictly determined. Yeah, and that's strictly on their backs. They get the opportunity to determine that as well by winning, of course. I think this team wins minimum 2 more games, which would give them 8 wins, and I'm pretty sure that's going to probably put them in a Florida bowl, man. You ready to go have some orange juice in Florida?
I am, you know that. I like the warm weather, so it would be, it's awesome that they're bowl eligible. Now is just an incredible opportunity for them to, not just put themselves in a position that they create something for themselves. It's a memory they'll have forever. But now it's an opportunity to start building the program and be able to set something up so that guys down the road can continue on and have something to shoot for and have something to continue just the overall history and program itself. And, that's being a part of the basketball program. I know the guys that were there before us, I know they kind of set the bar extremely high, and they had high expectations for us. And I think if these guys can go out and do, in the next month what they're capable of doing and what they've shown so far that they can do, then, they're setting themselves up to be the guys who are, kind of at the on the ground floor of building something that's pretty awesome.
And we turn our attention to basketball season as this past week, Indiana had an exhibition game on Tuesday against Gannon. Some of the guys didn't play. From what you saw in that game, where is this team? What do they need to work on? What are their deficiencies?
Well, I think that a game like that, you accomplish what is put in front of you, and these guys had the opportunity to go out and get on the floor and play against somebody other than themselves. People will say, well, it's Gannon, what can you really gain from it? And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just kind of the way fans always look at exhibition games. It just is what it is. And, I think these guys, I think they did what they had to do. It's always good to get to go play against somebody that's a different body and does things differently and just the team's got a game plan that they've got, and you've got to go out and try to beat it and try to match it and stop what they're doing and execute the things that you've learned in practice. And that was always I'll call it a buzzword, but it was always the real big factor for Coach Knight was being able to execute what it was we were trying to accomplish, and whether that's the game plan or whether in our case back then it wasn't running plays, it was simply being able to execute the offense the way that he wanted it run, and defensively being able to execute the game plan that they set up against the opponents that we had. And so the exhibition games are not as fun for the fans. It's much better. That's one of the situations. It's much better for the players. They get that opportunity to play against somebody else, and it kind of helps you see where you stand and where you're at. And you can look at that game and say they won by 30. They should have won by 50. Or what if they'd only won by 10? There's just nothing really positive can come out of it other than exactly what happened. And they went out and they were supposed to win, and they did win, and they won pretty handily. And I think that it gives guys some confidence that maybe haven't been on the floor as much, especially with the younger guys. It gives them the ability to get out there at that college level and the physicality and the speed of the game, and I think that's really what they were trying to gain from that, and I think that's what they got out of it.
Yeah, we saw a good game from Justin Smith. He was almost perfect from the field, 5 of 5. He was perfect from the field. He missed one free throw, 8 of 9. He had 18 points. He only had 2 rebounds, but a very good offensive output. He did not take a three-pointer, which I think is a good thing as well.
Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. We celebrate that.
But that's the kind of performance, especially right now, they need out of him because they're guard poor right now. So they've got to get a lot more out of their front court, and Justin Smith gave that to them the other night.
Yeah, and that's a kid that just, potential is unlimited. I think this team can put themselves in a much better position. Now, none of us really know what that position can be, but they can put themselves in a much better position if they become a really, really good rebounding team. And I think in order to do that, I think Justin Smith has to be a huge part of that aspect of their accomplishments in game. And if they're a great, it's so weird because as a player, I was always like, well, rebounding, yeah, of course, when they miss, we get the rebounds, and you don't really consider it a huge aspect of the game, or at least I never did, until, I started coaching my kids in AAU and stuff like that. And then you realize how important it is when you don't get rebounds and you give up offensive rebounds, and you start counting offensive possessions the other team has. And then you realize actually how ridiculously important rebounding is, and how a guy can not score any points, play good defense, and have 7 or 8 rebounds and be a gigantic factor in the game. And, I think this team will get to that. I think Justin Smith could impact the game without scoring any points. The 18 points to me, I could care less about. The 2 rebounds to me is something I would talk to him about and get him to understand every kid wants to play at another level, whether that's in the NBA or overseas professionally. Almost every kid wants to accomplish that. And for Justin Smith, the thing that's going to get him to that level is going to be the best rebounder. And if he can lead the Big Ten in rebounding, this team could actually have a really, really good chance of having a great year.
Yeah, because when you don't shoot the ball well, and this team has not historically shot the ball well, especially from behind the arc, offensive rebounding is critical to getting those second chances and preventing the opponent from getting as many opportunities, obviously. And with this team, we don't know how they're going to be. They don't have a Romeo Langford. Romeo couldn't shoot, but he could score the ball last year. They don't have that. You've got Devontae Green, who was one of the only guys that really shot the ball well from outside. He was 40% from behind the line, the only guy that was 40% behind the line last year. So you don't have a great deal of shooters on this team. So like you said, that rebounding is critical for this team, as well as getting to the free throw line and hitting those free throws.
I'm a nut when it comes to free throws. I don't understand how guys can't get better at that. The distance doesn't change and the height of the basket doesn't change. It's just really repetition and effort. I know some people are blessed with better touch from the free throw line than others. Thank goodness I was one of those. But, it's just one of those situations where this team is going to have to do the little things to win and win a lot. I don't just mean, be 500. To have a chance to go to the NCAA tournament and do what they set out every year to accomplish, they're going to have to be able to do the little things, and those are going to have to come kind of naturally. They're going to have to be a decent free throw shooting team to start and, hopefully get better. But they can't have games where they shoot 50% from the free throw line or for that matter, only get to the free throw line, 6 or 8 times or something like that. I mean, this has to be a team that, pounds the boards. I can't focus enough on rebounding, and that's from a short guy who couldn't jump. But it's a situation that rebounding for this team could be a gigantic factor and be a big deal. And when you run plays the way that almost every team does now, and Indiana's one of those, when you run kind of set plays and for 3 other guys on the court that have the opportunity to set themselves up for a rebound, and they know where the ball's going, they know pretty much who's going to have it at the time it's going to get shot, and they can set themselves up to be good rebounders, but it's a mindset. You've got to want to do that, and you've got to try to do that. And I think this team has the ability, has the athletic ability and skill set to be good. But now they've got to go out and execute it, and they'll be as good as I think they want to be. Shooting the basketball is going to be the X factor. I know you brought that up a couple times, but that's going to kind of be the X factor in whether they can be really, really good, or they're going to have games where they struggle to score the ball, and we all know how you can get beat anywhere in the Big Ten if you struggle to score the ball.
One guy that I think they might be able to count on for rebounding is Trace Jackson Davis. The freshman led the team with 9 rebounds in that exhibition game, but it was because he had that desire. He looked like he was hunting that ball. He was kind of aggressive, even offensively at times. He seemed to be more aggressive. And I tell you, I was pretty impressed for that being his first collegiate game.
Yeah, well, he's got it in his DNA. We know that because his dad was a great rebounder. And, this is a guy who, with his size, he has to be a rebounder. I mean, he has to be a guy that gets you 6 to 12 rebounds almost every game. And, you put Joey Brunk in that category also. I mean, those big body guys have got to come up with the rebounds that they're supposed to get. Like they can't get out muscled. They can't get out quick by another, small forward or big forward. They've got to be able to get those rebounds that you're supposed to get. And then the Justin Smiths of the world, need to be those guys that get rebounds that actually get the oohs and ahs, where they go up over guys or they steal a rebound that doesn't look like athletically they should be able to get. But, all those guys combined, it has to be a team effort rebounding as well. And you're right. Trace Jackson Davis has he's got the body to do it, and it looked like for sure in that first game that he had the desire to rebound as well. And that's as exciting a thing coming out of it from the coaching staff's perspective as I think that they could ask for from a freshman.
And the second biggest rebounder on the team the other night was freshman guard Armand Franklin. He impressed me as well for a couple of reasons. That high rebounding total of 8 rebounds for a guard, that was pretty impressive. But the way he played, he also did not play like a freshman, man. He looked like he'd been out there before. He reminded me of a young Todd Leary out there, just looking smooth and just he was unaffected by any of the hype and all that. He was just out there playing ball, and he looked so comfortable and natural.
Yeah, and these kids nowadays have played so many AAU games and been on big stages and played so many important games in big arenas and on TV, and it's not as big the lights shining for the first time is not as big a surprise and a big deal as it was, back when I played, when it was black and white television almost. But these guys these guys have done it before. They've been there before. But there's still an adjustment. The speed of the game. I'll be, as each game progresses and the opponents get a little bit better, I'll be more excited to see how the freshmen especially are able to adjust to the speed of the game. There's a difference. No matter how good you are or how big or fast you are, there's an adjustment to the size of other guys and their strength and the speed of people. And, that's the part of it that we'll continue to watch and monitor is how these young freshmen are able to do. But you're right. I mean, you certainly look at a guard who's able to rebound like that. And I know coaches will say it, to nauseum that these guys, you can get a guard that can rebound like that. It sure takes a lot of pressure off of, off the forwards and off the big guys. And it puts the other guards on the other team in a position where they've got to start focusing on blocking out. And most guards just generally don't do that well. And that's something where I think Indiana could definitely take advantage of them with their length and athleticism.
Well, the party gets started Tuesday for real as Indiana takes on Western Illinois and at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. So it's not very long, and we'll see what's going to go on for real with this team. I'm not sure if who is going to make it past the injury bug, and if Devontae Green's going to be ready. He's been nursing a hamstring. Rob Finney had been out. He played a little bit in that game, didn't play a lot. But when a team has one point guard basically like Rob Finney and he's out like he was last year and he has been right now, how does that affect your offensive chemistry when you've got to stick somebody else in that point spot that doesn't play that spot?
Yeah, I know that position in particular is it's like the quarterback in football. I mean, it's probably the one that would disrupt your team the most if they were out, and that comes from the standpoint of setting up the offense. And I don't know. I know it sounds maybe kind of cliche that you say setting up the offense and running the offense. Guys are good and going to score and be able to do what they're going to do because of how their abilities. But to have a guy that organizes everybody and gets them in place, and to have that person be kind of a constant on the floor, which is what Finney was in his freshman year for IU, I mean, it's a big, big factor. And I'm not saying that they can't be good and can't play. It actually gives some of the younger guys and some of the other guys an opportunity to fill in that role. But Finney is he's your true point guard. Like he is, he does have the ability to score the ball. But he's a guy that's thinking out there on the court and getting guys where they need to be. And when you don't have that guy, obviously it's going to affect you more than, not having some other guys on the court. So I definitely think it's a big factor for them. Getting him healthy is much more important. If he's got to sit out even the first month of the season, that would be all right with me. But you also, a thing that, I don't think too many people take into consideration is, these guys go at it about as hard as you can go at it for the first three weeks of basketball practice. And that's the time frame they're in right now. And, the injuries are going to be the nagging injuries, the hamstrings, the twisted ankles, the, tendonitis in your knees and, shoulder injuries, things like that are going to be around this time of year. And, it's up to the coaching staff and training staff to get these guys enough rest and get them enough time to get back out there and get healthy and get back out there and be able to perform at the highest level that they can do it. And it doesn't surprise me a whole lot to have guys, especially some of the younger guys, with injuries this time of year, because your body is just going through, even though you've trained all summer, your body's going through some physicalness and some beatings that it's just not used to taking. And I think the average fan doesn't take into consideration how much of a battle it really is every day in practice and the beating your body takes. I've said this for many, many years, but guys very seldom play a basketball game at 100%, health. Like there's always something that's hurting and nagging. And believe, I'm not saying this so that anybody feels sorry for them. That's just the nature of the business and what it is. But these guys are not coming out there playing where they feel great all the time. There's always, your knees are always hurting. You see guys with the bands on their knees or knee braces and shoulder harnesses and things on their hands and all kinds of stuff. Like, you take a beating in practice, and that's really what this time of year is about, to get through all that and then get healthy and then be ready for the Big Ten season.
Hey, we got to give a shout-out to the women's team, man. They entered the season in the top 25. Terry Moran has that team poised for another breakout season. They had a great run of the year last year, but they're starting out this year with
play.
Indiana's a 10.5-point favorite, Todd. That spread started at like 12.5. Kind of moved down a little bit over the few days. I've watched it go down to 11, down to 10.5 now. But Indiana's done such a good job, if you're betting, covering the spread all year long. But, they've also scored 30 points in 7 of their 8 games this year. Hardly any other teams have done that. They've done this 5 games straight. They score a lot of points, and Northwestern's not exactly been lighting it up defensively or offensively this year. On paper, that looks like a good bet to me.
Yeah, it's one of those. You're exactly right. On paper, it looks like a good bet. Other than Northwestern is a team that's very well coached, and they can make a game ugly. And I think proven over the years, Northwestern is one of those teams that figures out a way to hang around. And they've made some games ugly with Indiana in the past several years. So it's just one of those situations that, on paper, for sure, it definitely looked like Indiana would be the play, but playing against teams that are well coached are difficult, and they can figure out a way to game plan and make it ugly, and that's really Northwestern's only chance of holding Indiana down and being able to not allow them to score points and move the ball up and down the field. So on paper, you're right. It definitely looks like the play, but I just wouldn't like playing against well coached teams.
Well, we'll certainly find out Saturday night as Indiana, first night game in Memorial Stadium history in November. I'll be there checking that out, so look forward to it. Todd, I hope you have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you on Monday.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. You have a good weekend. Enjoy the game, and go Hoosiers.
There's the Toddfather, Todd Leary, joining us. We're back with more Tom Brews up next here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tea time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Friday. It's the 1st of November. Joined now by Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Tom, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Jim. It's hard to believe it's November already.
Well, I'll tell you what, it sure wasn't hard to believe yesterday. The weather just, it was snowing in Bloomington, man.
I know, that's crazy, isn't it? I played golf on Sunday, and, and here it is snowing 4 days later. So, welcome to Indiana, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Just wait a minute and the weather will change. Don't worry about it. Big doing Saturday night, though. I hope the weather stays better. Big crowd expected, hopefully, out at Memorial Stadium. The first night game in Memorial Stadium history in the month of November for the Indiana Hoosiers as they welcome in last year's Big Ten West Division champions, the Northwestern Wildcats. Falling on a little hard times this year, but Indiana's rolling right now, and I don't think anything is going to get in their way.
I wouldn't think so. It's everything went right for Northwestern last year. Every close game they had, they won, and this year it's just sort of been the opposite. And it's been a long time since I've seen an offense struggle as much as theirs has. For a team that's supposed to be pretty decent, and so it's hard to figure because they really do have a good defense, and but they've had a real hard time doing anything at all. I think they've only scored 38 points. In their 5 Big Ten games, which is really just almost a joke. It's and even Pat Fitzgerald, their coach, is just he's befuddled. He's just they can't block anybody. Their quarterback play's been horrible, and they just they're just really struggling. So it's but Indiana, it's so what? It's like they've been on the opposite end of that struggle train before. So. For them, it's all about one game at a time, and it's about going out there and getting another victory and going to 7-2. It's hard to believe they're saying Indiana and 7-2 in the same sentence.
Yeah, that's the direction that the Hoosiers are headed. As far as speaking of quarterbacks, we still don't know who Indiana's quarterback is going to be. Met with Coach Tom Allen yesterday, his media availability, and of course he said that Michael Penix has practiced, but it will still be a game-time decision. Knowing that they have a bye next week, if there's that much discussion about it, I'm not sure that we see Michael Penix this week.
I've been trying to guess on this stuff really since September, Jim. With all this stuff that's been going on, and I've been pretty much wrong most of the time. It's like I really felt like like last week, that they were making every effort to get him ready to play, and that I thought, by the time Saturday rolled around, I thought he would, and then of course he didn't. But Peyton Ramsey played great anyway, and I think this team has full confidence in Peyton Ramsey running this offense, and it's rolled up nearly 500 yards last week, scored 38 points, scored on 6 of their 11 possessions that mattered. They are really playing well offensively right now, so I don't think they care. I mean, if Peyton Ramsey has to go, I think every one of those players who lines up, is very confident that they can get the job done.
Oh, I don't think there's a question in that. I mean, he showed that last week in Lincoln. He showed it before. So, yeah, offensively, Indiana, it's just 2 plays. It really doesn't matter. You've got 2 quarterbacks that are both completing nearly 70% of their passes, 72 for Ramsey, as a matter of fact. But they both thrown for 1,200 yards. It's just pick your poison. For Indiana, I don't think it matters at all. I think this is a week that they can really work on getting their defense honed down and maybe try to work on that running game a little more as they head towards that break and head toward a couple big games coming up down the road.
Absolutely. It's, the defense, you wrote a little bit about that today in my feature with Micah McFadden. The defense has been giving up yards, and they've been giving up some points here and there in chunks, but they have, done really well when they needed to. I mean, They've done a nice job of coming out after halftime and stopping people. In their 4 Big Ten games since Ohio State, they've only given up 1 touchdown total in the third quarter, and that was in the Maryland game when Maryland scored with 1 second left on the clock. So they've done a pretty good job of making halftime adjustments, and the players have done a really good job of executing the changes. And we've talked about this for 2 weeks in a row. Is that Indiana teams in the past would have folded these last 2 weeks, when things got tight on the road late. And this team didn't. They made some plays, and, it was turnovers against Maryland. It was big stops against Nebraska down the stretch. And, it's certainly a defense that needs to be improving and needs to get better quick, but they have made plays, and it's just a question of making more of them and taking it from there. Because it's, I think, that's just the joys of having a very young defense, playing a lot of freshmen, playing a lot of sophomores. Even DeMarcus Elliott, the defensive tackle, who's had a great year, he's still a JUCO guy. He's still kind of learning his way too. And, there's just a lot of new faces on that defense that they've had to kind of grow, on their own here. And, but they make plays, which is good. And, Northwestern, as bad as their offense has been, there's no reason why, Indiana should be able to keep them to 10 points or less.
Yeah, the biggest threat this week, I think, is going to be fighting against apathy or any kind of a, not letdown, but a little distraction from coming off such a huge win. And, they go into this game as a 12-point favorite. That's a rarity for Indiana in a Big Ten game, unless they're playing someone like Rutgers or somebody here and there every now and again. But not usually is Indiana a double-digit favorite, but they are. And as long as they keep their focus and keep moving forward, they're going to be fine as they head down to those bigger games coming up that I alluded to earlier. They get a break next week to take off and practice up and heal up more. And that's one thing about this Indiana team. I think they've been very fortunate injury-wise this year. I know they've had some here and there, obviously the Michael Penix and the Corey Crunk and whatnot. But overall, I think they've been pretty fortunate on the injury side.
Well, absolutely. But, it all depends how you look at it. I mean, it's, they have been fortunate at the quarterback position because Peyton Ramsey has done very well. I mean, there's a lot of schools around the country who've lost starting quarterbacks and have completely fallen apart because of it, and that hasn't happened at Indiana, which is a huge thing. And we talked a lot about how much if Indiana's offensive line had enough depth to survive any injuries. We talked about it all August, thinking they didn't. But Matt Bedford, the true freshman, has stepped in and done very, very well at left tackle after Coy Cronk got hurt. And, and then they've had to, Simon Stepaniak was out last week, and they juggled pieces around again and didn't miss a beat. They just, especially when you look back, the running game in total wasn't great against Nebraska. But in the second half, when they closed it out, it was pretty darn good. They averaged nearly 5 yards a carry in the second half. And, that's the offensive line there making holes for Stevie Scott. So it's, I think, that yes, they've been fortunate in the total, but they've also gotten great production from guys who've had to fill in those spots.
Absolutely. It's been a complete team effort, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, the offensive line we just talked about. You got interchangeable quarterbacks. You got a guy like Whop Phillier having a crazy year, man. He's got to be a target on a lot of people's defensive boards right now coming up. Man, Whop is having an unbelievable breakout season.
Well, he's had double-digit games, 3 out of the last 4 Big Ten games. 14 catches against Michigan State, 10 against Rutgers, 14 again last week, at Nebraska. 503 yards just in those 3 games alone. And it's leading receiver in the Big Ten. He's 7th nationally. He's 14th nationally in yards. He's just having a great year. And he is yards after the catch. He's got more yards after contact than he does prior, which is. That's Whop being Whop, making plays and making that first tackler miss, and he's broken a bunch of big ones, and the thing that's been amazing to me is that he's open all the time. It's like I kept waiting in the Michigan State game for them to change up a little bit, and they just kept letting them catch the ball, 5 yards, 7 down yards, 10 yards down the field, and he'd break about every third one, and he had 178 yards last week. It was Nebraska's the same thing, and so he's been dangerous. And of course, that whole receiving core is good. So if anybody starts to like double up on him or try to bracket him, then I could see Nick Westbrook or Donovan Hale, or even like last week, Ty Freifogel had a great game. They've got a lot of depth at wide receiver, and even when they get David Ellis in the mix, they've got a lot of people who can hurt you, and they're taking advantage of all those pieces, and that's not even without mentioning Peyton Hendershot, who's just been tremendous at tight end.
Absolutely. On the basketball side of things, Indiana had their lone exhibition game this week against Gannon. They had a couple guys out. Rob Finney ended up playing unexpectedly. I didn't think he was going to play. They open the season next Tuesday against Western Illinois. What do you think of this team and where they're going to go, Nick? Because it's for real next week.
It sure is. There were, to me, the upside of Devontae Green and Al Durham not playing in the exhibition game Tuesday night was to kind of put people in roles they're not used to, and down the road, that'll be a good experience. I mean, Armand Franklin, the true freshman out of Indianapolis, he wound up playing 35 minutes Tuesday, and he played a lot of the point because they just didn't have many guards, and Demezi Anderson, because with all that, either being out or having a time limit on Tennessee, Demezi Anderson was basically the 2 guard, and started and played a good bit there, and handled the ball well enough when he had it. Made 2 out of 4 3-pointers, and and was obviously when you put that team out there, with all those big, tall, long guys, I mean they could guard people too. So it's hard to tell. I mean, obviously. It's going to have to be real interesting to see how long these guys are going to be out. I'm assuming Al Durham was just precautionary Tuesday night, so I'm expecting to see him against Western Illinois. But Devontae Green with hamstrings, you just never know. It's it's when they're going to be ready, and so I mean they're the way they are with injuries. They don't really tell you if he's going to play Tuesday night or not. So. I don't know if he's going to give it a shot or not, or even if he does, how effective he can be. And, Indiana just does not have a ton of depth at guard. So they basically just have just those 4 guys, and that's it. So it's, we'll have to see how that goes. And, thankfully their November schedule is not brutal by any stretch of the imagination. So they do have time to work all these guys in, but there's no guarantees. I mean, some of these guys on the schedule, if Indiana plays poorly, they can get beat in November, and I'm not expecting that to happen, but you never know, and we'll just have. This is a team I think that we'll have to watch closely every night to see how much they get better, both individually and collectively.
Yeah, because of that lack of depth at the guard position, Armand Franklin was a shining star the other night. I mean, I was very impressed with how, and I've used this word so much, comfortable he looked. But he did not look like a freshman playing his first collegiate game. He looked like he's been there for a minute. He was very confident, very smooth. He let the game come to him. He scored the first basket of the game, followed by Trace Jackson right behind him. But he just really impressed me with his poise, and he just didn't force anything. He let the game come to him. He was aggressive enough. I thought he did an outstanding job.
Yeah, he did. He did have a 3 turnovers, which you kind of expect from a freshman who's handling the ball as much as he did. And his decision making when they were on the run was pretty good for the most part. And this is a team that wants to try to play at a faster pace this year, and so we'll see. And what I really liked about his game, and really sort of everybody, the first half they really struggled offensively, but they were really trying to run sets every time down. And here's the point guard, Archie Miller firmly admitted he didn't even really know, all the plays from the point guard spot, to do that. In the second half, they were just a little bit more free-flowing. Just got up and down a little bit more, ran a little bit more motion, just kind of moved the ball around and attacked, and they were much better. And he could obviously fit his game very well, fit all their games very well. And, basically, the first 18 minutes of the game were basically even, and they won by 30. So it's it was a huge difference. So it's I definitely think this is a team that's absolutely going to be a work in progress, and we'll just have to watch and see every night as they go. But certainly, home opener Tuesday night. Looking forward to that very much.
Yeah, Trace Jackson Davis, the other freshman, because of the guard situation, until it gets resolved, they're going to be relying on that front court a lot. And Trace Jackson, with the performance he gave the other night as well, I keep calling him Trace Jackson Davis, he gives you a lot of confidence that he's also ready to play. He was very assertive and looked very good. Also looked further along than a freshman playing his first game.
Very much so, and especially since Monday. He was talking. Archie was talking a lot about how they've been working hard with him on rebounding, and it's just going to be a real key part of his game to being a big rebounder for this team. And he led them that night with 9. So it's he did a nice job on the boards, and he's certainly very good at finishing around the rim. And I think he's with the level of competition they're playing in November. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see a few 20-10 games out of him here in November as they get rolling, especially if they play at a pretty good pace.
Yeah, Justin Smith, another guy that they're going to have to get a lot out of. He did have a good performance the other night. He led the team in scoring. He was extraordinarily efficient. He didn't miss a shot from the field. I think he was 5 of 5. He was 8 of 9 at the free throw line. That's a great welcome sight, especially Indiana coming off of that Marquette game or scrimmage where they missed 19 free throws. They end up shooting 70% on the night the other night. So it makes you feel a lot better about the Hoosiers getting to the free throw line.
Sure, and I think I don't think they're necessarily going to be a great free throw team all year, but that was certainly an encouraging sign because Justin Smith, is probably going to be a guy that does get fouled quite a bit because he's willing to attack that rim whenever he can. So it's a good sign, but I don't think it's the greatest free throw team in the world. I think there's probably going to be a few games in the 60s, but if they can keep it around 70, 75% most of the time, I think they'll be just fine.
Absolutely. You got anything coming up that fans need to know about?
Well, I was really, really happy today with the story that I filed today on Micah McFadden. He's been a beast. Been a linebacker these last couple of games, and he's just really coming on. And he's one of those Tampa Plant guys, the old pipeline that we talk about. He's high school teammates with Wap and Thomas Allen and Juwan Burgess, and had a lot of fun with that. And then tomorrow we're going to take a good look at Matt Bedford and what he's done here. I had a great interview with him on Tuesday that was tremendous, and talked to some of the coaches and some of the other people about his role there. Look forward to that. That's going to publish at noon tomorrow and on Friday. And, of course, we get everybody set up for the game, tomorrow with some other stuff as well on Northwestern, breakdown on them and my game day Saturday morning. But quick little anecdote about Matt Bedford. When he got here in January, he only weighed 265 pounds, and when they got to camp in August, he was 305. He put on 40 pounds under David Ballew's watchful eye in the weight room, and he went from bench pressing 225 to now he's benching 450, and that's just amazing. He would have never been able to play left tackle in January, but he's doing it now and playing great, and that's all about the whole. Everybody buying into making things work, and he's been doing it. So everybody can look forward to that at noon Eastern tomorrow. A really good feature on Matt Bedford.
And then Saturday night, Indiana's going to be under the lights at 7 o'clock. Fox Sports 1 broadcast. It's a different dynamic. I asked Coach Allen about that yesterday in the media availability, but it's a different dynamic when you're under the lights. It just changes kind of the environment around a lot for football. He talked about, it reminded him of being a high school coach. And, everybody plays on Friday nights, Friday night lights, all that stuff. He said he had to get used to playing on Saturdays. He said it seemed weird to him at first.
Yeah, well, and they've, usually they do have a night game before now, but it's amazing that they haven't. But it has helped a little bit. Like they played the fourth quarter of the Maryland game in the dark, so that they got a little taste of it. I think the biggest thing they're going to have to get used to Saturday is just that pregame routine, because they've been used to getting up early and having some breakfast and having some meetings, and now they've got a day to kill, and it's going to be a little bit different. So hopefully they can adjust to that. But he's not worried about it. So I guess if the head coach isn't worried about it, I guess we don't need to worry about it either.
Absolutely. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana, I can't thank you enough, man.
My pleasure, Jim. Good to talk with you, and I'll see you Saturday night.
We'll be there. There's Tom Brew. Thanks for joining us. We've got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Stay tuned. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Wednesday, October 30th, the day before Halloween, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Matt Weaver, the Dream Weaver, joins us from Peaks.com. Matthew, how are you, brother?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
Great. You got your costume picked out?
I'm sorry, do I have what?
Your costume picked out for Halloween
No, that's I'll let my kids handle that. I'll just go as myself. That's that's a scary enough mask for everybody.
Yeah. Oh man, a big game coming up for Indiana this weekend. A nice night game, but we got to talk about that win last week in Nebraska. Man, it was just so much emotion from Tom Allen. It's like it's been coming for so long. They've been working long and hard to get to this point, and it came to fruition in Lincoln, Nebraska, an iconic place, and what a great place for a huge win for that program.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first time ever there, and it was, the atmosphere lived up to the billing. The stadium was fantastic. It was packed. The fans were into it. It was loud. I mean, even in the press box, you could tell it was loud. So, and then, like you said, obviously they have bigger goals than just 6 wins and just making it to a bowl. But I think it's, I won't say the pressure is off, but it really takes a lot of stress out of the season. Obviously, the last 3 times that Indiana's gone to the bowl game, the one, 2007, the Insight Bowl, and then the 2 under Kevin Wilson. They had to win the last game against Purdue to get there. And so to get there this early, still have 4 games to go. Now it's not about trying to make a bowl. Now it's trying to get to the best bowl, you possibly can. So it was great to see them, have that success and have that moment. But I'm sure this week they've told the team that this is by no means all we want to accomplish, and I'm sure this week of practice has been intense because they wanted them to stay focused. And I know people look at Northwestern and say, well, hey, this team played for the Big Ten West last year, was Big Ten West champion, played for the Big Ten championship. A lot of those players are back. They're having a really rough year, but they could win this game if they're not ready to play.
This is a Big Ten game, and this is not Rutgers coming in. I mean, they have a coach in Pat Fitzpatrick that has done a wonderful job there. They are well coached, and they didn't just lose half their team. They still have a lot of great players from that championship team. But like you said, they have not had the year that a lot of people expected. But you can't take any team lightly or for granted in the Big Ten. And Indiana is really in a rhythm right now offensively, Matt. I mean, and it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter if Peyton Ramsey has to step in or Michael Penix. They're not really missing a beat on that side of the ball.
No, and I mean, obviously, kudos and credit, a good deal of credit is to Kalen DeBoer and what he's done with bringing in his scheme. And, he's just, no play caller is perfect. Everybody has calls that they'd probably like to have back, and I'm sure he's got some every game. But, man, it's hard to nitpick his play calling very much. It's usually spot on. I mean, it's, sometimes the other team, you can make the right call, and the other team has a better call, and they stop you or whatever. But, he's just so good at knowing where a defense is vulnerable in a certain play. And he's been, what he's done with this offense, number 1 passing offense in the Big Ten, playing 2 different guys. Your starter gets hurt, and obviously you got an experienced guy behind him. But and the run game was slow to come around, and I think the run game has started to pick it up and has obviously been a lot more productive recently. So, but the whole staff, everybody's doing a great job. I think the job that Darren Hiller's done with the O-line has really kind of been underrated because with the guys coming in and out and the injuries and losing probably your best lineman in Coy Cronk and putting a true freshman out there, and they're leading the Big Ten and sacks allowed, as in they're not giving up many sacks. I think all those guys the whole offensive staff has really done a terrific job this year.
You said they're not giving up many sacks. They lead the Big Ten with the least amount of sacks. I think they're at 11 right now. They gave up 1 at Nebraska, and that's great in and of itself. But now you have to look at the fact that they're doing this with half of their starting line gone. You got Coy Cronk out. They had Simon Stepanek out last week. They lost Hunter Littlejohn before that. He came back, but they've had to mix and match this offensive line. And to maintain that consistency, that is also a pretty amazing stat.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, the job they've done, and it's the scheme helps too. There's things you can do to help, but I mean, I think, and that's why Coach Hiller is always, we've been there in spring ball, and you'll see guys being used in different positions. You might see a guy who plays tackle go into guard or center, and it's for reasons like this. So you have that versatility. So you can move guys around and try to get your best lineup out there possible, and not miss a beat, and that's what they've done. And it's been great. I mean, to have a young quarterback in Michael Penix, who obviously has a lot of talent, but to give him that protection has been so big. And then obviously when Peyton Ramsey's been out there, it's been the same thing. And I've said it before, the O-line to me was going to determine how good the offense was. The O-line has held up their end of the bargain, and that's why this offense is one of the best in the Big Ten.
Yeah, big question now is who is going to start this weekend at quarterback. That was been announced. It's a game-time decision by Coach Tom Allen between Michael Penix and Peyton Ramsey. We don't know who that's going to be. But with a bye coming, if there's anything that they're dealing with, Michael Penix, if he's not ready, they're going to let him sit, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think Tom Allen said on Monday Michael Penix is the starter, which he should be. It's Michael Penix hasn't lost a job because he's not played well. He's played phenomenal when he's been out there, but I think coaches always like to say the most important ability is availability. So you like to try to get him past some of these little setbacks health wise that are keeping him out. But if he's healthy, then I would think you'll see him out there. I mean, Peyton Ramsey has played terrific, and I know we've always said that we thought Michael Penix was a better option, and I still believe the ceiling is higher for the offense. But kudos to Peyton Ramsey and what he's done. This is a guy that absolutely maximizes every ounce of ability he has. He's tough as nails. I mean, that shot he took against Nebraska, he got absolutely leveled and got up and kept playing. And you could tell he was feeling it, but he stayed in there and kept playing. He's done a great job, but I think if Michael Penix is, if he's healthy, he'll be the guy, and I think he should be. Like I said, I think the ceiling's a little bit higher because of the things he can do throwing the football. But they've got a great option in Peyton Ramsey if they have to play him, and I don't think the offense will miss much of a beat at all, if any, if he's out there.
Yeah, I don't know how teams plan to defend Indiana because, first of all, you don't know who you're going to be going against. And there's not a ton of difference between them, although, like you said, Michael's got definitely the higher ceiling, stronger arm. But the Kalen DeBoer, this rat-a-tat-tat offensive, man, you got how about Whop Phillier? What a year that man is having. He is killing it this season.
Yeah, and what's been great about it is, Whop had the big game against Michigan State. Had some. I think it was also against Rutgers, and then Maryland schemed to take him away, and then it was Nick Westbrook and Donovan Hale had some big catches, and then they kind of schemed to take those guys away. Nebraska did, and Whop comes back with another big game, and that's what's so great about this offense. There's so many. It's like a basketball team that has a bunch of shooters. Who do you help off of? If you help off of one guy, then the other guy's going to go for 25. If you help off it's so hard to defend because there's so many different weapons, and you can't double cover everybody. Somebody's going to be matched up one-on-one, and obviously Peyton Hendershot's another guy's having a terrific year. Another Stevie Scott's really been a lot more involved in the passing game recently. I mean, he's done a great job running the ball, but now they're throwing the ball more. So it's just such a difficult offense to defend, and like I said, it's almost like Kalen DeBoer at times knows what the defense is going to run before they run it. I mean, his play calling has been just so on point, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. And, when you have guys, when you don't know who's going to get the ball every week, that even makes it tougher to defend.
As they head into this weekend's game against Northwestern, Northwestern is not exactly lit it up defensively against teams, especially passing. I think this could be another big performance by whomever the IU quarterback is.
Yeah, I mean they've been pretty good against the run. I think they've struggled, some against the pass, and one reason probably that defensively they struggled is at times their offense has just been. I mean they're the worst scoring team in college football, 130th out of 130 teams, averaging like 10.7 points a game, which is it's almost mind-boggling. They have just been so inept offensively, and then when that happens, obviously you're having a lot of 3 and outs. Your offense isn't moving the ball, so your defense is on the field a bunch. I think this is a game where Indiana will probably come out, and it'll be interesting. My guess is, Northwestern will probably do what a lot of teams do. They'll probably, try to make the quarterback beat them, not let Indiana run the ball. Northwestern's really got to have a chance. This is like playing one of those teams of basketball that slows it way down and plays in the 50s. If you get behind them, it can be tough. Even though they've struggled offensively, it can be tough because of the way they play. If you get ahead of them, they're really in big trouble because they just don't have the offensive firepower to play catch up and come from behind and that kind of thing. So, and even if Indiana gets a little bit behind, they struggle so much offensively. If you can get a few stops, you can get right back in the game or take the lead. But, if Indiana plays their game, if they play like they've been playing the last few weeks, especially offensively, or really more than the last few weeks, I mean, they scored over 30 points in every Big Ten game but one, and that was, to me, is an outlier because Ohio State's going to hold everybody under 30. They play like that offensively. I think they come away with the W.
I've seen a lot of bowl projections, which you kind of have to ignore right now because it's just too soon. There's too many games left. I mean, they got 4 or 5 games left. So, but I think that Indiana, this team is destined to play in a Florida Bowl this year. I don't see them not winning 8 games, but if we don't know where they're going to end up. I mean, there's a lot of different combinations because of the bowl tie-ins with the conferences, but it looks good for Indiana. If they can get to that 8-win mark, it looks good for them landing in Florida.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you get to 8 wins, I think that brings the Outback Bowl in play down in Tampa. I think that brings the Gator, or I think it's called the Gator or Tax Slayer Bowl, the one in Jacksonville. I think it brings those into play. I don't think normally it would probably bring the Music City Bowl in play, but I think because the Big Ten's been there the last few years, that was probably going to go to an ACC team instead of a Big Ten team with that agreement they have. I think people would probably rather avoid. I went out to it's now called the Red Box Bowl. It was Foster Farms a few years ago, and it's tough travel, it's expensive, so I think that probably would be the greatest bowl. I mean, any bowl would be good for Indiana, but I don't think a lot of people want to go to Detroit in just middle or late December. So I don't think it'll be Quick Lane, but Pinstripe maybe, but they were there not too long ago. But if you can get to those 8 wins, which is, like you said, very doable, and you can end up in Tampa or Jacksonville, that sounds okay to me.
Yeah, and not only that, would it be awesome because I would love to be in Florida in January. And plus, that's a January bowl. Indiana's played in January one time in their history, and, of course, that was 1968 with the Rose Bowl. So that would be wonderful. But talk about, you just mentioned those couple of bowl games either in Jacksonville or Tampa. How huge would that be for recruiting? Tom Allen already does a tremendous job down there, but that would have to just add another layer to that.
Well, I mean, let's just for argument, let's just say they go to Tampa. Your starting and assume Monica Penix is your starting quarterback. Walt Fillier from Tampa. You got all these Tampa guys, all the guys from that area, and the kids that you're recruiting. I don't know if they'll be at the game, but they'll be down there. Obviously, in the papers, they'll be talking about the game and talking about these Florida guys coming home to play. I mean, it's huge. You can't really put a price tag on it. That's just the kind of pub that you really, the only way you can get it is by doing it. And Jacksonville's an area they recruit hard too. Not as many guys from Jacksonville, but they go down there, and obviously it's in that part of Florida where they hit it heavy. So in either one of those games, I mean, to me, the Tampa one would really hit home because there are so many Tampa area players on this team, and you have a lot of people there supporting them, and a lot of guys that they're recruiting in that area in the 20 class, the 21 class, the 22 class, guys that these guys that they knew from high school, the Michael Penix, the Walt Filliers, and these guys, James Miller. I mean, go on and on, all the guys from the Tampa area. And to see Jamar Johnson is from that area, I mean, to play there, and I think it's in the stadium where the Buccaneers play. They play that game. It would be, like I said, I don't think you can put a price tag on it.
No, it would be what I call a "I told you so" billboard. As each one of those players came to Indiana for this very reason, so it would definitely be an "I told you so." Man, I can't thank you enough, brother. Look forward to seeing you out there Saturday night at the night game, first night game in Memorial Stadium history in November. So, looking forward to that.
Thanks so much, guys. Take care. Have a good week.
You bet. Matt Weaver, the Dream Weaver from Peaks.com, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We got a lot more coming up from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tea time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday, November 1. Man, winter is here. If you don't believe me, step outside and get hit in the face with that. Whoo, son, talking to me now. Hope everybody's had a great week, man. It's been a great week of shows. Man, we had so much fun here. Gary Parrish, and that was just a great week of guests this week. Looking forward to this weekend. Had the opportunity to talk to Tom Allen yesterday with his final media availability of the week before the Indiana Hoosiers take on the Northwestern Wildcats. Let's hear what Coach Allen had to say.
A little chillier out there today, so it was great to be outside and get a really good practice in with the weather conditions, and so that's part of this time of year. And I thought our guys have had great focus and really good work in both the weight room and on the practice field and the meeting room. So Michael did practice this week, so it'll be a game time decision for him. But I think the rest of the guys are pretty good shape.
You said did.
Was
it practicing in the cold weather, I guess, just about acclimatization, knowing what's coming this weekend, and then just generally that it's not getting warmer?
Yeah, I just think it's just moving forward, just kind of realizing what time of year it is, and basically the reality that you're going to have some cold weather games, and it could be even raining a little bit or even snowing this time of year. So it's Big Ten football, so you got to be ready for it. I just like to be in it. We try to balance that out as best we can. Because you just feel like that there's a balance of getting quality reps, but also realizing, hey, if you got to play in it, you got to be able to practice it, and that's our philosophy.
As this team has been doing so well, efficient passing the football, but as the elements turn, how important is it going to be to
get that? I think you have to just deal with them, and that's part of being able to adapt to this part of the country. And a lot of our guys have goals and dreams of playing on Sunday as well. So you're going to be playing in these conditions in the NFL. So that's part of just being an elite player is adapting to them and adjusting and knowing how to dress. Not putting too much stuff on and not doing too little. I think that's just a balance there as well. But being able to catch the football when it's raining or sleeting or snowing or whatever, and protecting it, and that obviously becomes a variable. It's like any level, it's all the same with that. But just got to get used to it, and it becomes you want it to be a non-issue. That's the whole key, is that you just do what you do, and even the wind can be a variable this time of year as well. So it's just part of understanding that, and special teams as well, and so handling punts and snapping punts and all those things that go along with handling the football. And so you just want to get into it as much as you can to get a lot of reps.
Earlier in the season, we talked about the immaturity of this team somewhat. How do you make sure that you guys going into a game that can be considered a trap game for Indiana, that they have that focus that they need?
Well, we've talked about it, from the beginning of the week. But I think the biggest thing is just when you think of the big picture of how we've approached each week, and that to me is what we've tried to stick with, and they're just trying to get these guys to understand that it truly is, it's the biggest game of the season because it's the next one, and that mindset, that how you prepare, and don't get caught up in the outside noise. How people start talking about things, and I just think that you have to you do grow as a team. These guys that are freshmen right now, they're experienced freshmen, the ones that have been playing, and the sophomores that are, even though that's their second year here now, they've got almost a whole another season under their belt as well. So that maturity needs to start showing up, and then you still count on your older guys to help the younger guys understand how you handle this time of the year and how you stay focused and locked in, and both by example and by verbally challenging guys and making sure their room is right. So I just think it's just a whole team effort as coaches and as the players and the older guys to lead the younger ones to understand how you prepare and play in these environments, and then also with these expectations as they keep growing.
Rumors have popped up kind of here and there for the last few months. You always wear black on game day. Will anybody be joining you wearing black on game day coming out of the locker room?
Oh, I don't think so. No. Now, you talking about uniforms?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that ain't happening. So, I was actually a high school coach when that situation occurred here in the past, and I remember it pretty vividly. So I don't see that ever happening. No, our colors are cream and crimson.
Not bringing back the evil oval.
No, I don't think so.
In terms of injuries, Simon, has he practiced this week?
Yeah, he's been good. So just I think whatever it was, we just kind of. And my whole thing with him when the whole deal was realized we're going to take care of our guys. It was in a question. He wasn't feeling right and didn't feel good, and I'm just like, hey, just next man up. We got guys that are ready to roll, and so always want to do what's best for our players.
The element of playing at night, what kind of a dynamic does that add to the game?
Our kids love it. They were so excited, when we got the news, and it just has a different feel, and for me being a former high school coach, it's Friday night football, and just kind of that's when you always played, and it kind of was weird. When I first started coaching college, it was weird playing during the day. I just wasn't used to that, So yeah, I just think the kids love it, and it's a great environment, and just kind of has a little bit extra juice to the event for sure. So we're excited. That's why we just really look forward to our fans embracing it and coming out and supporting us, and our students, and just want everybody to come and just cheer on the Hoosiers and give everything they got to help our team, continue to do something special.
From a coaching standpoint, I know it doesn't make coaching any easier, but sitting here at 6-2 versus other years when that record was not, how much does that make it easier, a little less pressure on the staff?
Well, I think first of all, just the whole idea of getting to that level of wins to be able to get you're in a bowl game. Now you got to figure out which one you're going to go to. So just having that taken off the table it's a good feeling. It does make a difference, and now, then all the focus is, okay, let's just everything, and it just kind of takes some pressure away in a lot of ways, and just lets us just go be our very best. I just thought the whole week of practice was it was very, very focused, but the guys the confidence is growing. They're having fun. Even today, the weather was kind of not very nice out there, and they were just having fun together, enjoying each other, and just really feeding off the energy of the momentum that's being created in our program and how they're playing, and so it just makes it it's a lot different feel than it was a year ago.
I guess how are they having fun outside when it's so cold?
It's just being together, just running around and being kids. They're not grown ups yet, so but it's still a game, but not just enjoying being out there and with each other, and the energy, and you can tell when a guy is really kind of like dreading it or not. But no, these guys, it was a whole group effort. It was that way the whole time, and coaches as well, and they follow our lead. But it's just a different hop in their step when things are going the way they are right now.
Coach, when you talk about the environment, with weather, with it being the night, and I know you said in your radio show that these are the Big Ten West champions that are coming in.
That's right.
Does this provide kind of an environment that you see could be beneficial later in the season, like even in the bowl game?
Yeah, I mean, you got to. The thing about it is, you put yourself in this position, and you want to be relevant in November. You want to be in games that matter and that people are talking about, and that's where now we're putting ourselves in those positions, and that's where you want to embrace that. You want to be at your best at these times. You want to keep getting better as a football team. You want to just absolutely, be a team that at this time of year, is clicking on all cylinders and all three phases are playing well. And so that's what you work for. And there's things happen, and you got to deal with them and adjust, based off of injuries and things that happen. And we've been through all that in the past, and we've been through that even this year. And so you just learn to kind of handle all that. But I do think that as this team matures and grows and develops an expectation for us being in these situations, that's what we want. And our guys have worked hard for this, and now you got to go out and take advantage of it, and not just get excited about it and then let it slip by. And that's why we want to play our best football this Saturday night against, as you said, it's the truth, and I've said it every time I talk about it, they're the defending Big Ten West champs. That's who we're playing on Saturday night. So it's going to be a very, very physical, very tough, hard-fought game.
Is anybody else a game time decision? Just Michael.
No, I think that's it. So the rest of them we pretty much have put out there who's in and out this time of the year.
There's Coach Tom Allen as the Indiana Hoosiers prepare to play in their first November night game in Memorial Stadium history tomorrow night. I hope it's packed. I hope they have a great crowd. It just makes it that much more of a fun environment under the lights. And, of course, the Hoosiers can wrap that up with a nice big old fat win to go 7-2 on the season. That'd be great, man. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for us on this week, man. It's been a fun week as always. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure you follow us. You can go to our pages, our YouTube page, and that's where I keep all of our content, interviews and whatnot, so you can see that anytime. Go there and subscribe, or you can sign up for the show at indianasportsbeat.com if you can't catch it on radio wherever you are. But we appreciate everybody joining us. We appreciate our guest today, Todd Leary, Tom Brew. Great to have those guys on as well. But for Jake, I am Jim Coyle, and until Monday, I will see you on the radio.